What's going on, my broskiis? My name is Toadski, back again, here to bring you guys yet another One Piece Treasure Cruise video, and we're here to talk about all of the news that dropped at the latest news time here. Of course, we already knew about the Sugo Fest that was going to be dropping. It is dropping tonight. I'm not pulling on this Sugo Fest, I'm telling you. Like, these units, not that enticing at all. And also, like, the Sugo Fest structure is, again, pretty typical from what we have come to expect at this point. In terms of the characters that are returning, you've got characters like Quick Sabo is very good if you don't have him. Sai Shanks, I mean, he's fine. The Strength Blackbeard is okay, of course. And then, I mean, for part 1, of course, you've got Carrot and the Odin, Kinemon, Denjiro, like, they're here on part 1. And then part 2, which is the day after, will only feature Odin as the new debut character on that part. And then the next day on part 3 is when Carrot is going to be featured. You know, you got Dex Roger going to be returning on this banner, which is good. We all know how good he is. But I mean, I think that because we're so close right now to the New Year's celebration, that in part with the fact that this batch doesn't seem that enticing, just combines it for me personally, like not a very enticing Sugo Fest to be pulling on. So I'm going to be skipping this one. If you do end up pulling here, I wish you guys the best of luck. I hope that your pulls go well. The one thing that we haven't done is we haven't talked about the rare recruits because they weren't on the official notice. But here we have 2 new rare recruits to talk about, the first of which being Momo and Yamato. We have a Dex, Slasher, and a Striker character. Captain ability, not really too crazy. Don't really need to talk about it all that much. The special ability though, we've got a 20% heal, which actually goes very well with the Carrot character. I want to talk about that unit in a moment as well. 20% heal, reduces special bind by 6 turns, which is good. If you have an enemy with increased damage taken status when you launch the special, it's going to further increase that effect by 0.3, and then boost damage dealt to enemies with increased damage taken by 2.25 for 1 turn. So if you've got the buff already on the enemy, then you get the conditional boost and you buff the effect. Otherwise, it will give a 2 times increased damage taken to the enemy for 1 turn. It doesn't go through full immunity, so do keep that in mind. If you have a Wano slot on this character when you launch the special, it reduces all enemies' defense up by 6 turns. So there's a lot of conditions going on here, which is one of the reasons why I don't think this character is that great. Another reason why I don't think this character is that great, this character doesn't, at least from what I'm reading, it does not have any crewmate ability that reduces their own special bind. So the character removes 6 turns of special bind, but doesn't resist it on their crewmate effect. So terrible design. It just feels like this batch was so terribly designed, man. I gotta say, I don't understand what they're doing. Let's have a look at this support effect. So attaching to all the scabbards pretty much, and it will say at the start of the 3rd battle, it heals 5% of your max HP, gives that character a Wano slot as well. So an okay support could definitely be used, but overall not a very exciting character, right? We move on to the next character, which is Luffy, Zoro, Sanji, and Jinbei, all combined into one unit. Not a dual unit, but I had a feeling like a character like this was probably going to be the Sugo Fest exclusive, but they ended up going with the scabbards, which is, you know, an interesting choice. But anyway, this is a rare recruit with super type, interestingly enough. A rare recruit with super type and final tap. In terms of the captain ability here, again, nothing really too crazy, but it says in the captain, it sets their own special launch status to 1 and reduces switch effect by 3 at the start of the quest and boost attack by 3.75, 1.25 times HP. If you do use them as a captain, of course, you'll get access to the super type. You need to have any of the 3 listed characters on the crew, which ranges from basically all of the scabbards. And it says that the super type will set this character's special launch status to 2. Changes crew slots including block into matching, and then strength becomes super strength. So a very interesting character that a rare recruit has all this active. Of course, this does make sense when you counter the fact that, you know, we've got a lot of captain switch characters or captain shift characters now. So this effect is probably going to see more play, but either way, let's actually see what it does. So remember that there's special launch status here. So when you first launch the special, you get 15,000 heal, removes bind by 6 turns, boosts fighter and slasher characters' attack by 2.5 for 2 turns, and then launches the following effects based on the special launch status. So you always get the attack boost, the HP recovery, and the bind removal. So those are always active. However, if you have the launch status at 0, it will boost the attack with the next final tap performed by fighter or slasher by 15%. And I think that's it. Yep, so that's all it does. If you have the special launch status at 1, instead of getting the final tap bonus, it will provide you with a fighter territory, which is a 1.5 bonus. and then if you use that effect, it's going to set your status back to 0. But then if the status is at 2, it's going to do a slasher territory buff, and then it sets it back to 0. So of course, if you get access to the super type, it's going to give you a special launch status of 2, and a special launch status of 2 will give you the slasher territory. If you use them as a captain, it says sets this character's special launch status to 1. So if you want the free spirit territory, make sure this character is the captain, or the fighter territory, should I say. Set this character as the captain at the start. If you want to have the slasher territory, then you don't want this character to be the captain at the start, and you want to switch him back in, use their super type, then switch him back out. So this character, very, very weird design once again. Crewmate abilities here, nothing really too crazy. Does give an additional heal, which is fine. Support effect attaching to the scabbards once again, and then it gives a 5,000 heal at the start of the second battle. And then we have the final tap effect at the final battle, just provides a 800 base attack boost, which is garbage. No one really cares about that, let's be real. So once again, you know, just not very exciting overall, right? Just really not. But the one thing I wanted to talk about very briefly before we moved on and actually had a look at some of the stuff that's coming in this celebration here is the carrot, dog, and cat. The main reason I wanted to do this is because we know in their dual captain, which is what was initially shown to us when this character was revealed, this character having the effect in the captain where right at the bottom, allows your crew's normal attacks to ignore enemy defensive effects, but cancels your own crew's defensive effects. So this is the same wording that carrot, like V1 carrot, that is. The Dex super type, dog and cat, they all have that. The Blackbeard legends that bypass defensive effects in their captain. It's the same wording, right? The issue arises when you look at their solo captain effect. So right at the bottom there, it says that you only bypass normal attack. Your normal attacks will only bypass if you have above 85% health. So this really sucks because this character also reduces your crew's HP by 10% at the end of every turn. So while the Sulongs have drawbacks in the past, right, like V1 Carrot, you only get the effect for the first 12 turns. Dog and Cat only get it for the first like 10 or 12 turns, and there's a 50% threshold. You need to be above half HP. This character has an HP threshold. It is permanent though, so keep that in mind. You always go through, but it's an HP threshold. But this character provides a 10% health cut to your crew every single turn. So the design of this just doesn't make sense. And while this character switch effect does have a healing component, it heals them by 15%, it's only in their super switch. I mean, they have a 5% heal. This was not actually advertised on their website. It's only a 5% heal. But honestly, it's really not enough. I feel like this is just a terribly, terribly designed batch in general. This legend doesn't make a lot of sense with what they're trying to do. You've got the rare recruits, which just seem a little off and wonky. The Straw Hat character, very difficult to use, I feel. And then you've got the Yamato and Momo, which remove special bind, but doesn't remove it on themselves. So I just don't understand what they're doing with this batch. Very, very weird one. This Sugafest, by the way, is lasting until December 26. We can pretty much assume that the New Year's Sugafest is probably going to drop on December 26 at news time. I think the last couple of years it's done that, so keep that in mind. This batch is going to be here for a while, right? The next thing is the next PKA, which is also going to be debuting tonight. PKA versus Orochi and Kanjuro. So let's have a brief look at this and see if they're any good or not. So this character, driven, powerhouse, int character. Nothing really too crazy so far. One thing I will say is that the sprite, it does have Orochi in his Devil Fruit form, so I wouldn't be shocked if when we get the 5+ with Treasure Map that it's probably going to super evolve into that. Captain ability is going to give Driven Powerhouse -1 cooldown, 3.5 times attack, and then doubles the amount of berries earned. Not a great captain ability, let's be real. Special ability will do 50 times their attack and typeless damage to all enemies, heals the crew by 5 times character's recovery at the end of the turn for 3 turns, reduces damage threshold by 6 turns, that's good, boosts Driven and Powerhouse characters' chain multiplier growth rate of normal attacks by 0.5, so remember that if you normally tap a perfect, you get a 0.3 increase. What this will do is that your perfects go from 0.3 to 0.5, the goods and greats have also been buffed, so it gives you a slight damage increase, so that's fine. And that lasts for 2 turns. And then if this character is a captain, friend captain, if it's in the top row when you launch the special, or was captain at the start of the quest, oh, that's interesting, and is a crewmate when you launch the special. Okay, so if it is the captain, or if it was the captain and it's been switched out, then it will further increase your chain multiplier growth rate alternating effects by 0.2. Okay, this effect also applies to growth rate alternating effect from this special. So basically, if you have it as a captain, or if it's been switched out, it will now be a 0.7 increase, okay? I get it. So the main reason why I think people would even use this is probably just for the threshold removal. It is a damage dealing special, whilst also being driven in Powerhouse, so that could be good for certain support characters attaching to this character. But the threshold removal is big. The chain multiplying buff could be kind of useful, but I think honestly it's a pretty underwhelming character, which is a bit of a disappointment. As for the crewmate ability, int slots will be matching, and then reduces burn duration by 1 turn. That could be good. There could be some cool use cases for that, and unfortunately does not have any great support. So that is the new PKA. Of course, the latest characters are all going to be boosted units for this, so do be on the lookout. And of course, when it drops, we'll try and make a video on it and see what's going on. Next is the Grand Party Season, everyone's favorite game mode in Treasure Cruise. It's starting on the 29th, going until December 4th. Now, in terms of the rule set this season, I read this and I was kind of surprised. So last season, they basically made it so that your int gear 5 was basically unusable. You couldn't use an int gear 5 special, and then psi gear 5 was nerfed. So what they're doing this time is they're kind of switching it up. So now any quick GP leader gets -2 uses on this special. Dex GP leaders get -1. And in terms of characters that are buffed, int characters, level 3 CT speed up, and then Free Spirit, Slasher, Fighter, Cerebral, Special CT Speed Up level 3. So they're not providing attack, defense, speed buffs, it's just CT increase for Int, Free Spirit, Slasher, Fighter, Cerebral. It's a pretty vast array of characters, and the fact that Int is not being debuffed this season means you're going to see a lot of Int. You're going to see a lot of the Versus Blackbeard, you're going to see S-Hawk, you're going to see 10th Anniversary Luffy, you're going to see Nami Karina, you're going to see Int Yamato, you're going to see a lot of these units, and the fact that some of those characters overlap in terms of also being Int, whilst also being Free Spirit, Slasher, Fighter, or Cerebral, it's going to be pretty nasty. It's going to be gross. I think this season's going to be very, very tough to get the max wins this season. The next thing here is a login bonus for the 10.5 anniversary, and again, this is lasting until December 26. So the thing is a lot of people were hoping that we're going to get like a really cool celebration where we could kind of conserve some rainbow gems throughout the month. But when you have a look at this login bonus, have a look at this. So this login bonus, of course, is lasting for 20 days. It's here for more than 20 days, so you can miss a couple of days and you'll still be okay. But the fact is we're getting 0 rainbow gems throughout this entire login bonus. You've got a couple of rare recruit tickets, 4 rare recruit tickets, 1 legend ticket, and then a bunch of limit break materials. Now, even if they are doing that, the limit break materials that they're giving us is pretty minimal. To be honest, all of these materials should have been buffed by like 3, 4, 5 times in terms of what they're actually giving us. Like 30 fragments isn't really that much. It probably should be closer to 100, let's be real. In terms of the crystals, it should be probably 50 of them at least, and then the large crystals probably 10 at least, right? The fact that we're getting such a bare amount is pretty bad overall. So yeah, pretty terrible there, and it's not worded here unless if it is. It looks, yeah, the 20th day you get a legend ticket. It's just a guaranteed legend ticket. It's not even a limited pool ticket. So, yeah, pretty terrible overall. I'm not a big fan of this login bonus. It's just kind of terrible, especially because people want to conserve their rainbow gems for the big celebration at the end of the year. I think they know that, and because of that, they're really not giving us much of an opportunity at all. So, this is why I'm saying, because there's not a lot of rainbow gems to go around, whenever you get them, you should be conserving them. Don't pull on this upcoming Sugo Fest. I would advise to save them. Very briefly as well, they announced the new medal exchange, which is also going to be updating December 26th. So everything's ending December 26th. So that looks to be the day where we get the big New Year's Sugo Fest, so it's going to be pretty exciting. In terms of the medal exchange, nothing really too crazy here. Obviously, you got the exchange legends. In terms of the big ones at 600 medals, you got Quick Momo, which actually debuted 12 months ago. Quick Momo came out this time last year, so crazy to see he's back. You've also got the dual unit of Robin and Koala, one of the better legends that's released, honestly. Pretty strong unit overall. And then you've got a bunch of just a lot of Zoros, actually. A lot of Zoros, a lot of Dex units. Interesting. And interesting that they also put the Sulongs in here, which will synergize kind of well, I suppose. If you don't have, you know, the new Carrot dog and cat, you can use this as a friend captain with the Carrot dog and cat. Interesting there. You've also got some past TM units. They're the Scabbards, of course, and related to the Scabbards, so it makes sense. And then you've got some Christmas units, which are terrible. And then that's pretty much it in terms of new additions to the medal exchange. And that's pretty much it. Like, that's all of the campaign information that we have. between now and the New Year's celebration. Of course, there is going to be more news between now and then. There's going to be a new treasure map. There's going to be some co-op quest as well. There should be a new co-op quest starting early in December. And then, of course, we've got the treasure map in early to mid-December. And then, of course, right before we have the New Year's celebration, we will have a Kizuna Clash. So that's pretty much all we have up until New Year's. And we don't really know what is to be expected at New Year's at this point. But all we have to do is wait. That's all we can really do at this point. But let me know your thoughts and opinions about it down below in the comment section. Are you guys going to be pulling on this Suguro Fest? I sincerely hope you are not. But that's going to wrap it up for me. Thank you so much for watching. If you enjoyed it, make sure to go ahead and leave a like. And if you want to stay up to date with all the content I post, including more One Piece Treasure Cruise content, make sure to hit the subscribe button down below. And that, guys, I'll see you guys within the next video.